Hey, Miss Dees, how you doing? Hey, Miss Dees. Hey, Miss Dees, how you doing?
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
You got Chrome?
Not yet. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Okay.
We're running a little late.
Huh?
We're running a little late. It's 5 o'clock and nobody's here yet.
Oh, wow. I'm the only one on.
Right now, yes.
So how was your day?
It was good. Lots going on. Hi. What? No, you can come in. Everybody should be in. Oh, hi. Good. Welcome. Have a seat. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were out there.
This is the room.
I apologize.
Me with Leo.
Oh, cool. She'll be here any minute.
Right, she's already here. She's up at the office.
Oh, she did? Okay, cool. So that's 3 people. I'm worried we won't make quorum.
Oh, see, I don't have a lot of people coming to this meeting, son.
Oh, she's perfect. What we need for our LSC, we need to have at least 8 members.
So, Bob, how do we go about, I know the district-wide thing as far as it being virtual, so I think
It's
that's
in
the
the,
issue, right?
right, it's
Like,
in the house. They should have to approve it, and it's not big. We gotta have sense. She knows how to look that stuff up, but
that's what's really holding us up too.
exactly.
Like,
It's supposed to be here. I want them
Right
here.
diagonally across, right that way.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll go with, I can show you where it's like.
Thank you.
As well.
Hello, Marlene. How do you say your name?
Marlene,
Marlene. Hello.
hello.
I'll let you know when we get to you. Hi. Anyway, yep. We talked about you up on your student, right? I think, did we meet? Maybe not. We met. Open house. Yeah, I'm still, hey, Miss Barkska.
So, Boz, where we at now?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at 5.
Yeah, 5. Okay.
Help me get a folder if you.
Freshman, Mr. Bob.
No, I was running late this time.
Well,
Sorry.
what, you running late from here?
Yeah, I was running late because
I almost know what's up.
I gotta get stuff planned. Talk to the hand. Okay, Ms. Diaz, I might be calling on you. We'll see. I've got Star, Ms. Barksdale, myself, Ms. Corres, Ms. Sims. Did you talk to Demetrius? Did you talk to him? You know, he's over here. Is Steve coming today, Ms. Dees?
No, Demetrius has to work today. That's why I'm not there.
That might be a problem. Okay, Dr. Smith is here, so that's 6. Do you know Leslie Ramirez's phone number? Ms. Diaz, I don't even think it'll help if you come. Ms. Diaz said that she could get here. I didn't know Demetrius wasn't coming today. We might have an issue with quorum because
Anything to vote on?
there we couldn't table that all to next time. There's amendments from August. Or yeah, amendments from August, but we can always put those in
Okay.
for another day. You're there next. You're there next.
I'm sure it's right. I'm tired, but I'll take it.
Ms. Diaz, are you still out there? We don't have a lot to vote on. We might just table all the voting stuff until the next meeting. That's fine. And just do our presentations, and then we'll have quorum because Ms. Cohan couldn't be here tonight either.
What about Miss Chorus?
She's here.
I'm here.
Oh, hi, Miss Chorus.
Hey, how are you, Steve?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. I thought all the students, all the new students there.
Demetrius can't be there, as you know. Star is here. I don't know about Leslie. I'm not sure where Leslie is. I haven't talked to her yet. Volleyball practice. Yeah, they're on gym.
Hello.
Everybody, thank you for being here virtually or physically. We really appreciate it. Just
How are you? Oh, I ain't gotta bring these snacks over. Hold on one second, I'll pop my head out. I think it's corn already.
We're not big one. We may not be able to. DJ, I didn't, Demetrius wasn't coming, and Ms.
Oh.
Cohan's not coming.
And
So really, we only have the amendments to approve. And that's it.
they can roll over.
Yeah.
Just got it. You just had to show that you're trying to. My presentation will probably take like somewhere between 20 to 25 minutes.
Okay, mine will take about 10.
I'll be right back.
Are you getting snacks?
Bring snacks, yeah.
Okay.
Our principal look like a teenager.
Okay, we're gonna get started shortly, everyone. Just one moment.
You know what, it's a copy machine.
That one right there.
An award.
Ms. Sims is bringing some snacks over. We didn't have to talk about shortly. You're the 31st, 7th floor. Hey, oh, you're here, good. On this day, we're taking the kids to Iron Spokes field trip, field course. 17th to 31st.
Is someone seeing it?
And also the first.
Just hold it over there.
So they can double check. Family that.
How much?
Hey.
Okay, I'll email it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was trying to support. But we don't get that.
What?
AW.
That's from my office.
Oh, you never in the office. You move around too much. I absolutely will. You would have to go up. I will. Kick me one time. No, you're gonna.
You're on video right now.
You give me one. Hello. Hello, we spoke to you. How y'all doing? I'm good. How are you? Yeah. This is my beautiful mother. Oh. Dr. Erica Smith. You look like the two. You look just like him. I can't stand him.
You better get number 14. Every time he makes me mad, that's what I call him.
You got your file, right?
I shared it with you.
No, I mean the one that TC made for you. Because they think she makes a special one for you.
Oh,
I don't know if it's over there or not, but I think there's one that says principal.
okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
1, 2, 3, 5.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Everybody wants to see this.
I do.
Oh, Sabrina Alexander's at the front door. Is it locked? Miss Alexander, is the door locked?
It shouldn't be. Right here. She used the second door. It shouldn't be.
It should be open. I asked maintenance to open the door.
It's open. I'll walk right in.
Okay.
Let's go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Scores for 6. I can get Miss Diaz here. 7. Okay, cool. I don't think there's any way we could make quorum, so we would still be one member short.
It's fine. Erica, you can call up the meeting to order.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, for your patience. I am Dr. Erica Smith. I am the co-chair, for this LSC, this wonderful LSC. I would like to call this meeting to order at 5:11 p.m. Start with the roll call.
Miss Allison, I'm marking absent. Miss Aziz Sims,
Present.
Miss Barksdale. Mr. Boggs is marking himself present. Miss Cohan, I'm marking absent. Ms. Cora's coming. Wanda Dees,
Present.
I'm noting that you're virtual. Demetrius Dees, I'm marking absent. Dana Diaz,
Here.
I'm marking as being present virtually. Claudia Granado. Claudia Granados. I'm marking Claudia Granados absent. Leslie Ramirez. Star Walters. The one and only Dr. Smith.
Present.
I skipped over you, I'm sorry.
It's good. I can make.
Okay, that brings us to 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do a count real quick to see if we're at quorum. Ms. Sims, Ms. Still, Mr. Boggs, Ms. Torres,
I was like, we may be at quorum because
Ms.
we're one parent short, right?
So you will be.
Right, but quorum's always at 8.
But if you have a vacancy, you can't.
Make 8.
Right.
remember our quorum used to be 7 until
Correct.
we added
The
the
additional.
2 additional students. But right now we have 2 vacancies, which is
The
the
parapro and
the
the,
parapro
So
and
that
the,
will put you at quorum because you can't contest for, can't,
so it's quorum?
I believe
I
so.
believe it is.
Okay. Walters, Dr. Smith, Leslie, Cora's, Fogg, Barksdale, Sims. And I can get Miss, should I ask Miss Diaz to come? She's only 10 minutes away. She said she would come.
Okay, yeah.
Ms. Diaz,
Yes.
would you kill me if I asked you to come in person? Because we would
No, I
establish.
wouldn't. I can make it.
All right, I appreciate you very much. Thank you.
No problem. I'll be there soon.
Can you just table everything?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we're at, okay, we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 members present physically. And then we've got, 1, 2 virtual. Ms. Diaz and then we'll have quorum in a second. Let's just say quorum.
Say she's quorum, so she's
Okay. So should we just approve the minutes and go right into reports?
Yes.
Okay.
In absence of the LSC chair, we will table that report. That was not left, so we'll table the LSC chair's report at this time. We will go right ahead to letter B for the teachers' reports, and that would be Mrs. and Mr. Boggs.
You have somebody with their hand up.
I'm sorry, I have a hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just letting you know that I was here too. I'm sorry.
We're happy you're here. Thank you.
I'm sorry about that.
anybody who needs interpretation.
Anyone that needs an interpreter in the audience? No interpreter? Anyone else? Can you translate? Could you ask if someone needs an interpreter?
Do I go closer or?
Yeah, could you translate?
Yeah.
La maestra está preguntando que si a ella necesita una interpretación de inglés y español.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Corus, I hope you're okay, but for this presentation, I went ahead and took leadership and did it. We had our first PPLC meeting for the year at September 15th, 2023 at 7:45. Here's a link to the video. This is embedded in the minutes of the agenda. And we discussed a couple issues. The math department wants to get materials that are more accessible for English language learners. Department heads want to meet with TC, who's our business manager, to inquire about how much money each department has for spending. The SPED department wants to get more accessible materials for the transition students, which is a different level of student. And then we all want to get more access to the poster maker so that we can start to make our objectives and the rubrics that students use a lot. Instead of having to write out that stuff on the board, we want to have it maximized and put up on the chalkboard. Yeah.
So just a clarification, it's saying math department wants to get materials accessible for the English learners, that's what the ELs are. You were also asking that for all departments, as we got on there for the influx of asylum seekers. So we know that's always something open from admin, from our bilingual coordinator, but we now just want to ensure that all of our material that is available in Spanish, we want to make sure that that's accessible and available for our students.
We met with Principal Sims on Friday of last week. And she's aware of our wants and our needs. And she said that anything has always been available to us. We just need to go down there and ask for it. And so we're starting to do that. And whatever materials and curriculum materials we're wanting, we need to come up with the price and the purchase order and then just get it to her. And she said she'll be fine with that. It's just a matter of us doing it. And we met with Principal Sims on September 22nd, which was on Friday. So that's the first part of my report. The second part of my report is always the IB learner profile. We have a program called Living the IB Learner Profile here. Because we're an IB school, there's different traits that we try to get our students to be. And one of them is principal. And student Marlene Cornell. Marlene, are you there?
I'm here.
Can you remind me how I'm supposed to say your name? I forgot. I'm sorry.
It's Marlene.
Marlene Cornell has been nominated for being principal by teacher Sabrina Alexander, who's like a mother right behind us, taking pictures on the video. So, according to Ms. Alexander, it says that Marlene acts with integrity and honesty, with a strong sense of fairness and justice, and with respect for the dignity and rights of her classmates. She follows school rules, is very helpful to her classmates, respectful, works hard, and other IB learner traits. Marlon, we want to thank you for living the IB learner profile at Bogan. And tomorrow you can come down to the main office and get yourself a $25 gift card. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Marlon, is there anything you'd like to say to the group?
I don't think so. Hello, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Congratulations, Marlon. Thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you.
That concludes my report.
Before you go on, so a couple of notes. First of all, thank you. Thank you to PPLC teachers. Thank you. You know where my heart is. I would ask, if I can't speak on behalf of this council, that whatever those wants and those needs are, that we capture them and give them to Principal Sims in written form, just to have a way of managing that. Because I know a lot of times when we get to know our day to day, been a principal before, that gets real funky. So we want to make sure there's checks and balances, that you have what you need, and I know she'll give you what you need, but we have to have someone capturing that. So if you could take that back to your committee, I'm gonna see if I can stick my head in one morning. I'll try. If you can take that back, I appreciate it.
For sure.
Okay.
Do you want to go to student?
Yep, let's go. Anything I see? Okay, go ahead. Go to student reports. We'll go on.
You guys have, I know you normally don't do this, and this is your first meeting, so trial by fire. Demetrius usually reports out on what's going on with the students, and, any activities, any issues or concerns. You guys have anything you want to report out on? Okay, here you guys are.
So I can tell you Demetrius is working on developing town halls, but I know he was waiting for his counterparts to get approved. I did talk to him this week. He said he was a little busy, so I'm expecting that he'll gather the troops and they'll be coming about town halls at some point.
So I'm gonna give y'all some homework. So follow up with Demetrius and find out what the structure of town halls can look like. And what some of the deliverables agree to bring back to us so we can support that work. Okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is community reps report.
Community rep report is.
I'm gonna pull up my report. I shared it with you.
Community rep. Got a report? Okay, let's hear Mrs. Barksdale.
Yes, I went to the city council meeting September 14th. And it was very interesting. So lots of people are very, very disappointed what's going on in the school concerning the migration. And the mayor gave them out to Fort Meade. I know y'all heard on television. So now they are talking about, you know, they have to get them tents. Nothing wrong with that. You're not complaining about that. But then a whole lot of homeless people there at city council meeting. Was really big. It was really nice. Anyway, I wanted to report on it, and also that I went to board meeting Wednesday. And it was very, very interesting too. Lots going on with that too, with the parents and stuff, because you know, local school council election coming up. 1390. Do anybody listen to 1390? So I know you know about this deal. They already saying run from local school. Community TV needs you. Parents, we need you. Oh, well, done deal. Because the local school council don't even try to reach out to the community when they need for support and help. That's my, and I brought Darlene Hale here. She's a specialized community parent advocate for specialized schools. And she does that volunteering for Chicago Public School for years. So I invite her here. That's my report. And thank you all.
Well, welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Martell.
Thank you for that and welcome and being a mom, where I have diverse learners as well. And we welcome you here. I am an alum of the school. I won't say what year I graduated. So that community piece is very important as I've had a graduate matriculation here and I have 2 kids here. So we have to tighten up that community engagement piece. Because we hear the complaints, they want to, people want to talk when it's not right. So encourage folks to come, encourage them to run for the LSC. You make time for the things that are valuable. And if we don't invest in our school and our community, that's when other folks do come in and you don't have a school for your kids. So I'm okay. They can't fire me. I retired from CPS. So recorded and run my receipts. I don't care.
Right.
So
And that's why I said, you know what I started doing at local school council, hell watched it.
that's it.
My
8-7.
daughter was suspended.
I wanted to add one,
I was done.
Ms. Barksdale reminded me, I had the pleasure of representing Logan's local school council recently at an event for the LSC election kickoff. I just wanted to play the video real quick. Just wanted to share that on Wednesday of last week, or Thursday of last week, we had a big LSC election kickoff with 500 online, and Pedro was there and Brad did a video, and it was a cool thing to be in that experience. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. So do we, what's next on our agenda?
Well, we have quorum now.
We have quorum. So let's go back. We have quorum now. Yay. So we're going to go back. Please be patient with us now that we're at quorum. Mr. Boggs is going to fix our roster to reflect that we do have quorum. And the things we were not able to vote upon at that time, we will vote upon now. Mr. Boggs, it's in your hands to go back to the things we need to vote upon right now. I see a hand raised.
Yes, could you tell, that Yolanda to mute her phone? Because she's doing,
Oh, yeah. I will mute
ask her to mute her phone. Thank you.
Sure thing. I'm hitting her. Okay, I think she did.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so the first thing I need to do is I need a motion to approve the agenda. Can I get a motion? Oh,
I make that motion.
okay, and hold on, I'm having 1 second. Ms. Dees. Jay is in, he's present. Okay, motion was made by Ms. Dees for the, there should be an approval of agenda, and I don't know why it's not on here. It was earlier, I thought, maybe I didn't see it.
It's all right. I make a motion that we amend the agenda to now add, an approval of the agenda, with the modification to add the approval of the agenda.
A second.
Okay, I'm gonna go through, roll call. Ms. Sims, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Barksdale, how do you vote? Mr. Boggs votes aye. Ms. Corris, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Dees, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Ms. Diaz, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Ramirez, how do you vote? Dr. Smith, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Walters, how do you vote?
Aye.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer Ms. Dees? Okay, okay. I'm never sure what to say. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah, 8.
8 in person. 1 virtual.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay, now we have to have a approval of minutes. Can I get a motion for the approval of minutes?
And Dr. Smith, move that we approve the minutes as printed.
I second that motion.
Ms. Ellison is not here. Ms. Sims, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Barksdale, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Boggs is going to abstain. Ms. Corris, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Dees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz, how do you vote? Ms. Ramirez, how do you vote? Dr. Smith, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Walters, how do you vote? Seven in person.
No, it's saying, you're right.
It is, I understand.
Remember Diaz.
Oh,
Oh,
saying also
you're right.
7 to 1. Yep.
so it's 7,
Person, one.
1,
abstain.
0 abstain. You 7 in person.
One virtual,
1 abstain.
one abstention.
Yeah, remember 1 eye
One.
virtual.
1 virtual. 1 abstain. 0 nays.
Motion carries.
Okay, so that's done.
And now we're picking up at principal report.
Next on the agenda, we have the principal's report. Principal Sims, it's your help.
Okay, so as you all know, every year we do state of school, but based on our prior work together, we decided that we break this up because there's some data, understanding that I can show you all as we go through this process. So we're gonna start with understanding academic data. I'll do an introduction to academic data today. At the next meeting, I'll go more into detail. For those of you who are new, we have a hard rule where we have to keep our meetings at 1 hour. So we try to spread it out so we can make sure that we keep it at the hour.
Let me make sure I'm sharing with everybody on the.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh,
It's the top one. Yep. Yeah. So that's the next month, I will go over the second part of academics. You can go to the next page. Okay, so remind you of what we talked about before about the distribution. So if you think about, if you get 100 people in a room, you can line them all up. They're going to end up on what is considered to be a norm curve. So say we have 100 people, we're going to look at how fast they run. Some people are going to run really slow. Some people are going to run really fast. And if we organize, if we organize them, then we get what we call a distribution curve. So if something is a perfect population, the idea is the more random your population is, the closer that you get to this curve. So it's important to understand this curve when we talk about academic data, is because this is about ranking how students do against the population. So when you all are hearing about a test that's standardized, this is why people argue about whether they should be used to measure schools or not. Because somebody always has to be at the bottom. So no matter what you do, if you line up 100 people, somebody has to be 100, somebody has to be 75, somebody has to be 1. If 75 moves up to 68, that means somebody else moved down. And so this is why we're always talking about this. So this is what we say is the normal distribution. You'll also see down here that we have things like they have probability, something called standard deviation, cumulative percent, z-scores, I-scores. Never get afraid of that. For what you all do, basically, just looking at where something falls on the distribution usually gives you a good idea about performance. But whenever you're talking about anything that's standardized or normed, this is what we're talking about. How do we rank people on that performance? So whoever is in the middle, that is what we call average performance. So that 100 people lined up and how fast they ran, whoever gets 50th is determined to be the average person on that distribution. So anybody that can run faster than the 50th person is going to be our fast people. They're going to be above average. Anybody who runs slower than the 50 is going to be below average or our slower runners. So, and so let me also, so you'll also hear people try to get around this by talking about things like grade levels. Grade levels are not real. They literally are made up by whoever created the test or the curriculum. So they literally sit in a room and they say, I decided this is 3rd grade level, or I decided this is 7th grade level. Well, there's a catch with that, because if you're selling products that's based off of grade levels, it's not beneficial for you to make sure that kids are on grade level. So understand, when people are talking about grade levels, it's important to ask more questions, because grade levels a lot of times are made up as a way to sell products or to make people think that their children need additional things or their schools need additional things, even though they may not necessarily need those. These tests should still be considered, but they should be considered in conjunction with other test materials that are criterion based. So it's very possible for somebody to be at the bottom over here and it not be about the quality of the school, the quality of the curriculum, but simply for the fact that somebody has to rank at the bottom. So when we talk about SAT, which is the test that is used to measure performance, use performance at the school level, at high school level, this is what the distribution of test takers looks like. So they test everybody in the country. As you can see, they have a perfect distribution. So that means half of the people who take this test are going to get a score between 1050 and 1100. Half of them will not get that score. Half of them will get above. For instance, if you ever try to move this group of people over here, they literally test each individual test item to make sure that it discriminates well enough to go back and recreate this curve. So every year when your kids take this test, there's a set of test items where they look at how kids scored, how they scored on those specific individual items, and then they make sure that the next test, when they build that test, that the performance goals will end up like this. If it does not end up like this, you can pretty much sure somebody's probably going to get written up or fired, because that's their job as psychometricians, to make sure that when all the kids take the test, it turns out like this. So talk about test scores. So most people read test scores incorrectly. This is often done because it's easier to read test scores in the ways that we read them, but people don't like to say, don't like to teach people to read them correctly, because then people might ask questions about things that they don't want them to ask questions about. So most of the time we look at SAT score, we've looked at it as, oh, well, my score is an 825 versus a 1025, and the higher the score is, the better the score is. However, that's not the best way to look at it for schools. Even if you look at it for individuals, they come with two things which are called growth percentiles. And so what you see, well, actually, for individual performers, it's performance percentiles. For schools, it's growth percentiles. And this is the difference. If I take the SAT in 2005 and I got a 1480, but on my reading, well, no, 1480 would be way too high. I got a 1050 on the SAT in 2005, but it happened to be an easier version of SAT. And we know that because of how the distribution turned out. My performance percentiles might be something like 40th percentile and 45th percentile. Somebody else might take that same test this year, get the exact same score, 1050, and have percentiles of 58 percentile and 63 percentile. So even though our scores look the same, they actually mean two very different things. The student who scored 1050 in 2005 actually is less skilled than the student who scored 1050 in 2023. So that's why it's important to read all of those scores, because we're not always talking about the same thing. When we talk about schools, you actually are not supposed to look at these scores at all by themselves. And if you want to look at College Board publishes every year how to look at their data and how to interpret their data. So what you should be doing is, yes, you want to look at the final score, because the final score is going to give you some information about skills. It's going to give you information about where the groups of kids are. But you also have to consider other things like population. So like, for instance, at Bogan, our STED population and ELL population for the last couple of years has been somewhere between 23 to 30%, depending on the year and the testing cohort. Well, that's important, because if you have that many kids who have IEPs or who have language development that they need to work on, and you compare that to the rest of the populations, because remember we talked about that norm curve, and they're being compared to the population. The average school for CPS has something like between 8 and 13% special ed. So when you interpret Bogan scores, you have to interpret it understanding that Bogan has twice the number of IEP students and ELL students that most high schools have. So when you look at that, you're going to look at the final score, and then you're going to look at the school reading growth percentile and the school math percentile. And that kind of tells you how the school is doing. So I'll show you some examples. So we have 3 schools here. All of them have the exact same scores. So Here, they have a 35th percentile reading, which means 65%. Remember that bubble? That means 65% of the schools did better than them on reading growth. They have an 86 math percentile, which means 14% of the schools did better than them on reading growth. This one in the middle, you have a 50th reading percentile. So 50% of the schools did better than on them on reading growth. For math, 62. So 38% of the schools did better than them on reading growth. And then you have this one here where you see 16. So 84% of the schools did better than this school on reading growth, and 81% of the schools did better than this school on math growth. So all three have the exact same score. All three have schools that are functioning at different levels. Anybody want to guess which school has the strongest performance?
Strongest?
Yep, which one do you think has the strongest performance? 1, 2, or 3?
I'll say two.
Okay, so 3 actually would be the weakest performer because, yeah, they're at the bottom. So almost every school is performing better than them. So you have 84% of the schools across the country. I know it's a touch. 84% of the schools across the country are doing better than them in growth. Here, 81% of the schools across the country are doing better than them in growth. So this is actually the lowest performing school, even though it has the same score.
My confusion is the school ranking. So what you're saying in essence is that 84% of the schools are doing better. Okay, I see now. Okay.
Mhm.
Quick question, wouldn't it be one? That would be the one that's actually kind of like balancing out?
Actually, I'd argue it's probably
The
2
two.
because the performance is more consistent. Yep,
Because the 35 and the 86.
exactly. You have above average performance at both of these schools. So this is one of the things that when we talk about the accountability policy, this is something that is going to be taken into consideration. But I would argue most parents are probably going to have to continue to advocate, because what we saw were the schools were getting level 2 and level 3. However, they had incredibly high growth rates, whereas schools that had incredibly low growth rates were being rated as a level 1 or a level 1 plus. So they were being encouraged to send their students to schools where the academics were not as strong, while they ignored schools where the academic performance was actually stronger. So this is why it's important to understand the test scores and for somebody to explain to you exactly how it works. And as we go through, we'll talk about some of the things we're doing so you understand why we're taking the approaches that we're taking and why we believe the strategies that we're using will work.
547, just so you know.
Okay, I got to speed it up, but come on. So keep going. Okay, you can add the next one. Okay, so right here. So most people, you hear the district get up and they're like, oh, well, we're working on the schools where proficiency isn't happening. Well, they probably should work on the entire district in the entire state. So in 2019, in the state, 33% were proficient on reading. So understand, only a third, but remember, standardized test, norm. So you have that big curve of everybody in the country. But when you look at it, only people in that top half can be proficient. That means this is not like a test where you go and you give the kids and they have 10 questions. As long as you get 8 questions and we say you understand and you pass. This is a test that's meant to block people into either the top half or the bottom half. The state itself only has 33% proficiency on the SAT. The board only has 23.1% proficiency on the test in reading. However, a lot of ways that they talk make people feel really bad because they're like, well, schools on the South Side only have 5%. Well, you got Whitney Young and Northside Prep and Walter Payton, and we can name a whole bunch of schools, and you only have 23% proficient. So this is how you know like what levels to work at. As you can see, proficiency is actually not a school level issue. It is a district and state level issue. And it is an issue that is caused by the type of exam that they have chosen to use for accountability. You see that same pattern here in math, 29.3% proficiency in state and 20.6% proficiency in the district. So you think a lot differently, and you see why educators are not as panicked when people are standing up there talking about proficiency, because a lot of times they don't understand what they're actually talking about. This is for a standardized test, not a criterion test. So now, what you need to, oh, go back and so I can show them scores. So there we go. So I'm gonna show you some data from last school year. So at our school, these are all the grades and the test takers on the benchmark. So I'm gonna show you something interesting. So we had 1% of our students who met both benchmarks. But you can see also, district had 21%, the state had 29%. When you look at those groups overall, it's 27%. So 73% overall on average did not meet both benchmarks, and that includes at the state. The number of test takers that met the math benchmark, we had, oh, I'm sorry, I missed the ERW benchmark. We had 19 who met this benchmark. That's 13%. At the district level, you have 39%. At the state level, you had 51%. Let's look at the math though. See those big drops? So the state, district are doing, and the school are doing better in reading. And remember what I said about our percentages of special ed and ELL students compared to the rest of the district. So now we have look at the math benchmark. We have at least one student who's always meeting the benchmark in every category. Now you look at math for the district, it's 23% met the benchmark. For the state, it's 31% met the benchmark. So there is no massive performance of meeting the benchmarks anywhere in the entire state. So for people to be telling parents that their kids are low performing, when in fact the entire state and district is low performing, technically on this, is misleading. The number that met no benchmarks. Remember, we have a higher than average SPED and ELL. It's only 2%. The district, 1%. The number overall in the state is so low, it's at 0%. So it's probably something like 0.49 when they add up all the kids. When we look at how kids do, the first score band they give us, 600 to 790. We are higher here, but not by much than the district. So we're about 21% higher. But again, we have twice the SPED and ELL, 54%, 33%, 24%. Let's go over here to the next group. So we have scores between, right here, 800 and 990. So at the school, we had 24 kids who scored between that. That was 5%. Between 800 and 990. The district only had 18% here. The state at 20 to 24. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong part. 800, I'm supposed to be right here. So for the school, we had 165 kids. 37% of our kids scored here between 800 and 990. The district, 36% of their kids scored between 800 and 990. At the state, 35% of the kids scored between 800 and 990. We're neck and neck.
What about the students? Where are they ranked?
So that's what I'm talking about. So right now, when you look at
where are the students, you know?
Like the ones that go here.
Students.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about students. It's maybe I'm using the terminology, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I call them kids because that to me they all my kids. So
They're not animals.
no. They're my babies. So I know they're my children. Yeah. So here you can see From this, in this score band, we are all tied. Now, everybody's talking about this 1,000 club, right? So you expect to see tons of kids in 1,000. That's not so. At here, we have 24 kids in our group that scored between 1,000 and 1,190. Here, the district had 18%. The state had 24%. That's a big difference from the way they sound when they talk to everybody on news conferences. 1,200 to 1,390, you see we had 0. The district had 7. The state had 11. And then when we come out here to this very end, we have 0% at our school. The district only had 2%. The state only had 3%. So when we talk about these kids who are scoring here between 1,400 and 1,600, which is like the 90th percentile and higher, almost no one scores in that. But to be frank, most kids who are scoring in the 90th percentile or higher in this range are people who are born with natural intellectual gifts. They are not the result of the schools that they are in. So that is our first lesson. Now I'm talking about the new SAT and then move on because I know we're going to run over our time. So now they're going to change the SAT this year. So this year, the kids are going to take a different SAT. And the reason they're going to take a different SAT is because research studies came out that said that grades were more valuable than standardized test scores in understanding student performance. The result has been almost every post-secondary institution has now gone test optional and does not require testing. College Board actually ran this same study themselves, found the exact same thing, and then tried to convince everybody they should spend hundreds of millions of dollars so that they can understand the performance of about 5% of the students. Nobody bought that. And so now this is their next chance, which is to redo the entire SAT and try to get a different result with the SAT. So this is not tested. There are no metrics on this. So I can't tell you how accurate it is, anything, because literally the metrics on this do not exist yet. So anyone who's in 11th grade will be taking an experimental test this year, and then the metrics will be run at a later time to see what conclusions can be drawn from that test. So on the new SAT, the students are going to take 2 tests, one in reading and writing and one in math. The first test will have a variety of questions. Depending on how they do on that first test, tells them what kind of test do they get for the second test that they take. So if they do really well on the hard questions on the first test, they're going to get a harder test the second test.
Adaptive?
Yes, it's not adaptive, but you know, it's kind of sort of adaptive. No, it's not like a performance task. Yeah. Same concept, except it doesn't adapt at each question it asks. It adapts at when it gives you the next test. And it's probably having to do with the metrics, like the psychometrics of it, because they did try to give it, I believe, completely computer adaptive this year. And so this is the new rollout. So I'm assuming that did not go well. So your children will take 2 32-minute modules. That will be a total of 64 minutes. So one thing is great. There is a significant reduction in testing time. And math, they will take 2 35-minute modules, and they will be able to use their calculators the entire time on a math test on anything they want. That gives them a total of 134 minutes of testing, which is 2 hours and 4 minutes, as opposed to almost the 4 hours of testing they were doing before. As you can see, they've also reduced the number of questions. So now we're down to 54 questions instead of 2 tests with, I think it was 40 questions. So it was like 80 questions. And then we're down here to 44, where we had prior been doing something like 80 to 90 questions. So they've reduced the time. They've made the test smaller. There are less questions on here. And they say, based on the testing that they did last year, that on average, most students can complete in time and finish with at least 7 minutes left. This is important because another thing people have been arguing about the standardized test, that there's a concept called speeding, which is when you make people take tests under intense pressure with little time as quickly as possible, they're going to lose some of their skill and ability, and that's going to come out in the test. So I believe the idea here is to get more towards the kids' ability. However, those psychometrics will not be done probably until after this year, where a large number of kids have taken the test. And that is the end of my presentation. Do you all have any questions about what I presented?
Just a quick question, a couple. Why are the school districts or anyone in general mainly focus on grades instead of like focusing on the students' academic skills, like what they want to do for the career? Because like everybody's so stressed out. And, oh, I have to get straight A's, have to get a B, have to meet a certain expectation for the IB profile learner. So how can we balance that out for the students and teachers so we got a connection with them?
So welcome to the monster. So the system has to work in some way where they can figure out how to deal with a large number of people and try to be as fair as possible. So what's supposed to be fair is grades, attendance, and test scores. As I demonstrated, whether your test score is fair or not depends upon what tests are being given and who's interpreting the test. So we try to balance out everything. There's been a lot of work on SEL, but also you got to remember that schools are funded by taxpayers, and taxpayers want to see something for their money. Anybody else have a question? That concludes part one. So next time I will actually go into detail on our test scores, and I'll talk a little bit more about how our WIN connects to that specific plan, because that's one of the components of our CIWP. Okay.
Thank you, Principal Sams. I know we're getting cut to the time. We're on to letter R. We have 2 sets of amendments we need to attend to.
Can I make a motion to table those amendments?
Absolutely.
I'd like to make a motion to table July and August amendments until the October meeting.
I
Did I
second.
say that right?
Yeah. And I'll second that.
Can I take roll? Ms. Sims, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Ms. Barksdale, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Boggs is going to vote aye. Ms. Cohen's not here. Ms. Corres, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Dees, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Diaz, how do you vote? Ms. Ramirez, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dr. Smith, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Walters, how do you vote?
Aye.
So we have 8 ayes, 1 virtual,
One abstain.
and then we have 1 abstain. Right? Is my right? Is my math right?
Yes. Motion passes.
Okay, so we'll do those later. Did I get that right? Okay. Public participation.
We're at the point where there's public participation. Anyone would like to comment? This does not include LSC members. So we're at that point in our meeting. Go once, going twice. So, okay. Ms. Dees, we recognize your hand.
Yes, on Thursday. Now that's the PEP meeting on Thursday, right?
Yeah, but it's in October. Let me tell you the date for the PAC meeting.
She's talking about the senior
For this
meeting.
Thursday.
Oh, yes, the senior meeting.
That's not
Oh,
PAC, that's for seniors.
That's a senior meeting after there's a college fair on Thursday. So if you're a senior parent, you should be at the college fair, 8th period. Well, you'll be here at 4 o'clock to meet with the college reps, and then they're gonna have senior meeting.
okay, okay, alrighty.
Adjourn. Maybe, I don't know.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second, please? It has been moved and second that we adjourn the meeting at 6:05 p.m. Thank you. Sir, and I'm-
I will see some of you guys on Thursday.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.